everyone, welcome back to Law Study Kid. In today's video, I'd like to talk about what happens if you're not hired back after articling or the LPP program. I remember this was one of my biggest fears, and then it happened to me. I wasn't hired back, and I felt like the entire world came crashing down, and what the hell am I gonna do? And COVID happened, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I came out of it, and things were good for me. So I have a few tips that I can share if, for example, you were not hired back after articling or the law practice program, that might help you in order to get your first year associate job. But the first thing to keep in mind is that it's not a big deal. You think that it's a big deal in that moment, and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. You hear these stories from people that they didn't get a job for years. Unfortunately, it can happen. I'm not saying that it cannot, but trust me, you will figure out a way. So if you're interested in my tips, keep watching. So I'm going to give you a bit of background to explain to you what happened to me, so that you can also understand my feelings at the time, and maybe you're able to relate to me. So I did the law practice program, and I was hired as an in-house counsel, like a student at law, for an in-house role, and I really liked it, and I loved being there, and I was hoping that I'm going to get hired back for sure. When I had the interview, my principal lawyer also mentioned that they're looking to hire somebody, so I was super excited, and I thought that I'm going to get hired back for sure. But then COVID hit, and then everybody started working from home, and with bigger organizations, they have budget cuts and all of that. And, I still didn't ask my principal that, what's going to happen? Are you going to hire me back or not? And I was so nervous and so anxious because I'm like, I cannot hear no. What if I get no as an answer? What am I going to do? So I kept dragging it till the last minute, literally like 2 weeks. I think before my placement was ending, I was like, I'm interested. I remember we had this talk, and, I really want to be a part. I want to be hired back here, and I love what I'm doing. And then, my principal at the time was very nice. She was awesome. She said that she's going to look into it and see if they have a budget and all of that. But unfortunately, they did not. And then I wasn't hired back. So from this experience, the first thing that I would say is don't wait until last minute to have uncomfortable conversations. I did, and certainly not something that I would recommend. I was just so anxious because I was, I guess, trying to control the future that everybody tries to do, but I don't think you can do that. So anyway, the first recommendation is never ever wait till the last minute to follow up on whether you're getting hired back or not. Try to do it at least, I would say, 2 months before, not 2 weeks before. I got hired back, and I was also very anxious in terms of what am I supposed to do, because I wasn't called to the bar. I had to wait a couple months, like I believe 1.5 months. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Which area of law should I go into? I had all these questions, and also just not understanding what my next steps should be. There are certain things that I did, certain things that I did not do, but now that I am on the other side, I can certainly tell you some tips that can help you in finding a position or actually getting to the next step. 1, break down bigger tasks into smaller tasks. For example, when you're not hired back, your goal is to, oh my God, I need to find a job. And finding a job, it's just like this blanket statement, which seems very, very overwhelming, because there are a lot of other questions that you need to answer before you find that job. You can start applying anywhere or anywhere that you see, but there are other small steps that you need to take in order to get a job. So what I would recommend is break down your tasks. For example, this is what I did. Take an Excel sheet. Break down tasks. For example, week 1, I'm going to research on these. For example, I wanted to research on corporate commercial lawyers, immigration lawyers, and employment lawyers. And I think that was all. So first week, I'm going to research on these lawyers. I'm going to look at what they do. I'm going to try to reach out to them and see if there are any jobs available. The following week, I'm going to set up informational interviews with these lawyers, that obviously I'm going to be searching them online or wherever you feel more comfortable, LinkedIn, online, on job platforms. Then week 3, I'm going to meet somebody for a coffee, a virtual coffee at the time because it was COVID. But then do you get the idea in terms of breaking tasks down as opposed to, oh my God, I need a job. Oh my God, I need to pay my bills. That can get very, very overwhelming. So that's what I did too. I actually made a chart in terms of what areas of law I want to practice, what are some of the advantages of practicing those areas, what are some of the drawbacks of practicing those areas. This way, when you also meet a lawyer, you can show them the research that you've done and ask them what they think. So everything that you do is not going to go to waste at all. So yeah, my recommendation is to break down finding a job into 10 small tasks and take your time. It's not easy to find a job in like 2 days. It will take time. My second recommendation is pretty similar to the first one. Is create your own schedule. Make sure that you're not waking up too late or sleeping in too late. Like, have a schedule. Wake up the normal time that you would for work. Have a schedule. The morning time you're going to be scheduling calls, for example, with potential employers, and from 12 p.m. onwards to 12 to 4 p.m. you're going to be working on your resume, your cover letter, and polishing those skills. So have a schedule. Maybe you can take 2 to 3 days off, but have a schedule. Put everything in your calendar. Try to reach out to as many people as you can. Talk to as many people as you want. Try to figure out what is it that you want to do as opposed to whatever's out there. I did that too. Again, I had a couple of areas that I thought that I was interested in, so I made a list of lawyers. I reached out to people on LinkedIn. I had a chat with them. Some people replied, some people did not. That's fine. Not everybody does not have the time to speak to you. It's okay. I got rejected for a whole bunch of different applications. Sometimes I wouldn't even hear back, which is just awful. But it happens. Just follow the schedule no matter what happens. Last recommendation would be to treat this finding a job as a job. This is something that I learned during the law practice program, and they told us that this is your job. You wake up every single day, you wear, if you're going to go to a coffee shop, you wear the best clothes that you have, get out of your home and treat this as your job. You have to go and find a job. You have to put in the hours, you have to put in the work. Otherwise, it can get pretty stressful. If you don't do that, then you're stuck because you're like, oh my God, I wasted all this time. I don't know if I'm going to get it now. So start small. You don't have to work, 50 hours a week. You can start with working, 6 hours a day to 5 hours a day. Then the next following week, you can do 7 hours a day. And then the week after, you can do 8. So it's obviously a transition as opposed to, making 25 applications in one day. You might want to do that, but it might not get you the greatest results because you need to put some thought into it. You need to figure out what is it that you really would like to do. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. Again, there's no magic formula to finding a perfect job. Sometimes people get lucky. Sometimes people have some connections. But just remember that this is not that big of a deal for me. I was very embarrassed. I was very embarrassed, and I was like, how am I supposed to tell this to everybody? People are going to think that I'm a failure. And, now that I think back at it, it wasn't a big deal. You just want to try as much as you can, and then hopefully you will land somewhere, or you might even end up opening your own firm. Whatever it is that you're interested in, I'm sure that you will be able to get there. But just remember that in that moment when you don't get rehired, it's very, very stressful, but it gets easier over time. Thanks guys for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.